Hello guys, and welcome to a new Wargame video today by me, Vulcan, and Val.
Hello guys.
Today we have another of the 3v3 Reddit tournament games, the last of the group stage games. So after this we will be moving on to the knockout stages. But in this one, on the red side, we have Steel Balalaika with Reflex, Oceans and Seriga. And over on the blue side we have Crna Buksna with Razman, Dirty D and Firestarter. So what are your thoughts to begin with, Val?
This is the first time we've seen this map on the in the tournament so far, and I know it's a favourite of yours. I'm quite partial to this map as well, and it has a lot of interesting sort of zones that you fight for control of. So the bottom side sees a lot of infantry through these big forested areas around the mountains in Echo and Alpha. Golf can be a very kind of bloody tank battle between, like, there's a big gap between the two forest lines. Then India and Hotel, there's a lot of interesting potential for kind of fast rushes. I see quite a lot of there. But either way, let's get started on introducing the teams then. So, want to do blue or red first, Lewis?
Well, what sort of decks do we have on the blue side?
On the blue side, so we'll start off with Razman, who is taking a very interesting Blue Dragon deck, which is one that we've probably one of the least seen decks that we've already seen, and a very fun one with some very cool units in it. We have Dirty D with wow. Okay, yeah. No, Dirty D has a full NATO deck, which is definitely the first of those we've seen. Firestarter looks like he's going with a Eurocore deck. So a nice wide range of decks, especially that NATO deck. We haven't seen one of those yet, I don't think.
What about the red side?
Yeah, so we'll move over to the red side. So we have Oceans with a Soviet deck, Seriga with a Soviet Korean deck, and Reflex is running a Eastern Bloc deck.
It's quite a variance of decks we've got today. Seriga looks to be starting with a lot of helicopters. We've got the Mi-24Vs, we've got a MD-500D AGS-17 in there as well, those grenade launcher helicopters. Not often you see those. We've got the Ka-29TB with the command infantry, Mi-MTV with some infantry there as well. So a big focus put on the helicopters there by Seriga. Looks like Reflex is going to be taking care of the ground forces alongside Oceans. And over on the blue side, well, with those decks that you listed, especially the Blue Dragon one really interested me. I think I've spoken to you previously, Val, about what I thought would be a good counter to the Red Dragon's decks and also the Sovco decks. And with all the SU-122s coming into play with the Yakudays, one thing that I said that would be very good against it was the Hachi Nani Shikis, which are the recon APCs, and we can see Razman has brought some of those in.
Yeah, they're really good, especially for the price. I know, well, we both knew that because we played a game not too long ago where we got absolutely wrecked by someone who spammed those at the start, but that's for another time. The two teams are off and we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, we've got the Eurocore deck from Dirty D, or is that
That's the
NATO deck, sorry. Moving towards the bottom side of the map by the looks of things. He's probably going to be sending a lot of infantry towards Echo along with some heavier tanks. It looks like are heading towards the center. So another thing I'm interested in is how many command vehicles we're going to be seeing at the start of the game. So far, it looks like the blue side's opting for 3. We've got the one in Foxtrot and the one in Delta. A little bit of an air engagement there. MiG-23ML firing off some missiles or being fired upon by the Celtic. And then both the MiG-25 and the MiG-23 have taken infrared shots. So an interesting start there. And the MiG-23ML does go down to the Celtic. Wow. Bit of a missed micro there by Steel Balalaika.
Well, the thing about the Celtic is it's really good. It only has 4 HP, so it can actually get one-shotted by some of the higher HE anti-heli missiles, but you know. This one didn't care. He took on the planes and just destroyed it. But they're going to have to watch out for those Vs now, especially when there's no more ammunition in the Celtics.
Yeah, the Mi-24V there took down a Bell with some infantry and the Kiowa Recon. So a little bit of a trade on both sides. We can see that Oceans has already secured Alpha and Charlie for his team, and he's now using those KA-29 TBs as fire support for the pushes coming up by his teammates. But what is nice to see is that Seraga's put a good focus on this top town between Hotel and India, and that's going to give him the initiative in order to push into India later on.
Well, the thing that grants here is because this isn't a rush or anything like that per se, because he's not going into India, but by capturing this area first, it really stops any like ground vehicle rushes through the town. Because those Crna Buksnas will one-shot anything that's not a super heavy tank from the front.
Yeah, we've got these Hachi Nanashikis coming up now. And it looks like both the MD500D AGS-17s will be going down without firing a single shot. One of them went down to the Lux, and the other ones went down to the Hachi Nanashikis. We've got Razman moving some napalm infantry in the top side of that forest, probably preparing to attack there. Whilst at the bottom side, we have Dirty D with his NATO deck spreading out a wide array of unit. We've got the Gongbyong, the Jaegers, and the Fusiliers. So a wonderful sort of array of infantry here, even the FSK there as well for some elite infantry.
Well, this is one of the big advantages of a solid NATO deck. Is you can have all this great infantry from all these different nations. You're not really limited when it comes to infantry particularly. You do obviously have the limit on advanced kind of tanks and planes and that sort of thing with the prototyping, but most good infantry isn't really prototyped, so an excellent combination, just pushing all the way through those woods.
Yeah, big Buratino strike came in the middle there. Did do a lot of damage to the Leopard 2A4, which has been stuck in the flames for quite a long time and almost went down to the flames as well, but managed to get out there with 1 health. The Leclerc managed to get out fine, but a lot of the units being severely damaged there. We've got a few of Ocean's infantry coming in and trying to take on some APCs. The Leopard 2A1 getting some free shots there, but over in this top side, we did see a Gornostrauki 90 unit take down a K1 already, but these Gongbyongs with those flash napalm rockets will be able to do a lot of damage to these Spetsnaz GRU if they ambush them.
Yeah, the Gongbyongs are really good anti-infantry units, and they're well priced as well. There's Gornostrauki 90 though, it can't be overstated just how good those ATGMs are when it gets in range. So you have to be very careful. Those MD500Ds doing quite a bit of damage themselves there.
Check out this push on the bottom side. Reflex actually completely destroying Dirty D's infantry. The Fusiliers, the Gongbyongs, just all being wrecked by the SPWs, the Granata Mets. We've got some Mochschützen in there. Just generally some very good Eastern Bloc infantry, but wonderful bombing strike coming in to prevent that push from going much further. Still plenty of units to get into the town, but he does still have defensive units in Echo just in case that happens, especially with the reinforcements with those bells coming up with the FSKs. So I think he's going to have plenty to defend against anything that reflects pushes into Echo, but he is definitely going to be on the defensive from now on.
That's true. Brilliant. I'd like to point out as well those Flampanzers, the Eastern Bloc flame tanks, East German in this particular case. Just doing a great job at stunning and destroying a lot of infantry.
Yeah, we've got the push also coming from Reflex on the top side of Echo as well. So this is actually quite good micro from Reflex. He's using 2 massive forces of infantry, both on the top side and bottom side of Echo. And he's making a lot of ground at the moment with some very cheap Granata Met AGS-17 squads and the Zaloznisi, which are the reserve infantry.
Yeah, brilliant. And you can tell someone's good at micro when they can handle this many individually split units at once and not completely mess it up. So a very, very good job by him. Let's take a look over in the top side, because it looks like Razman's forces have finally met. Serra's up in the top side, where he was doing that push round, but those Skrezets are just destroying those Haibyong 90.
Yeah, those Haibyong aren't cheap either. They aren't good shock infantry from South Korea. And they just got wrecked there. The Spetsnaz also taking care of the Gongbyongs's. So, yeah, a lot of the infantry going down for the blue side early on. And this isn't looking promising, honestly, because the red side has so much map pressure at the moment.
Yeah, they might have the advantage in points with that 1 point lead, but the red team has just got, they've almost completely encircled Echo because they've got units this motor shoots and cutting off the reinforcements.
Yeah, and we do see a Spetsnaz crew squad in the bottom side of Delta. They've got to be careful about that. It looks like Razman has brought up a Tukcheonsa squad to defend if that Spetsnaz crew decides to get cheeky and try and take out the CV, but yeah, that's just going to be left there for the time being, I think. This Hachi Nano Cheeky also coming down from Razman just in case they try and utilise that squad to take out the CV. Up in the top side of India, the skirmishes still continue. They're trying to clear out those Gornostrelki from the town in between Hotel and India. And there's Chongsu also providing the M60 fire support. But those Spetsnaz, horrible to deal with in forests.
Well, Spetsnaz and VDV-90 are such a brutal combo because the Spetsnaz are, they're pretty much the best anti-infantry in the game, matched only by a few very select units. And the VDV-90 have one of the best anti-tank RPGs in the game as well, so very, very formidable to try and deal with.
What I find interesting is how Serag is microing these VDV. He's turned off the RPK-74 for the VDV, so he's not relying on those VDV to use those machine guns to attack infantry. He's using them primarily to destroy these APs or APCs, and as you can see, taking out those two light vehicles there.
Well, it's like I said, the RPG-29 Vampire is just such a strong RPG unit. In this sort of forest combat, there's no vehicle is safe from that. They just will absolutely destroy them.
The Kinsam closed arrow did take down a couple of the AGS-17 helicopters, and one of the Strela M's also went down, I think, to the M67 hands. So some wonderful long-range strikes there from the blue side. They're reinforcing their infantry now to try and take care of these Spetsnaz, which are sweeping round to the top side of India.
I like how they brought these KF the 4050s with the grenade launchers. They're definitely the sort of unit you want to use to take out Spetsnaz because they're strong enough in armour to survive the napalm rockets relatively easily. And those grenade launchers do a ton of damage.
Yeah, also the Kairoku WAPC is a very lightly armoured APC with a grenade launcher as its main weapon, which is glorious as well for taking on infantry from longer ranges. But look at all these Fuchs and Jaegers coming in now, a massive spam of them from Dirty D to take care of all this infantry that's trying to cut off his reinforcements. And he's probably going to try and use those Jaegers and Fuchs just to sweep across that forest. But he has to be careful that a bombing strike doesn't come in and just blow them all up, because that would be a huge amount of kills there if, for example, a B5 came in, although we're not going to see a B5 because I don't think they have them.
They do have one soft codec, so there's probably a B5 somewhere, but probably not the bomber I'd use for this because it's very far over enemy lines. They don't know quite how much AA is in goal. The points have been equalised though. The CV has been snuck into left-hand side of goal, but Firestarter's doing a nice push with a lot of combined arms going in, and will probably take this left-hand forest if the red team can't reinforce it in time.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure put onto Ocean's command infantry with all these Panzer Grenadiers approaching with the help of the Marder 1s and the Leopard 2A1s. So, yeah, a nice amount of forces being used there to put the pressure on. A couple of BTR 80s coming up with some reinforcements. So, maybe we'll see those push back those Panzer Grenadiers. 3 units of Morskaya Pehota should be enough.
Oh, that rocket artillery is landing right next to the command infantry, but I don't think it's going to actually kill it in the middle sector.
Yeah. These Jaegers, though, making a lot of progress now. With all those MG3s coming from each of those squads, that's going to be horrific for any infantry squad that they come across. They will probably get instant stuns. Although the Mutschützen do put up a good fight against Jaeger squads. They do have the CQC RPK with 50% accuracy, whilst the MG3 is only 40% accurate and cannot be fired on the move. So those Mutschützen squads, yeah, generally pretty good. Obviously cost 5 points more than the Jaeger squads, but still, they're a good matchup there.
They are. Dirty D is trying to get quite a bit of reinforcement in here because even though Firestarter and Dirty D are doing this great Jaeger push up in the top forest, the red team still has kind of free reign to push into this town now. A lot of those FSK got taken out.
Well, there's still 3 squads of FSK in the bottom side of Echo, and if you look at all these SPK 50 PKs, or SPW 50 PKs, they have no fuel left, which is interesting because it means there's no like machine gun fire support for these Mutschützen if they try and push towards the town. That's going to leave them pretty vulnerable.
Well, this is one of the big problems with the 50 PK, and one of the reasons I tend not to use it too much in my Eastern Bloc decks is because the autonomy is terrible. You know, running out of fuel that close to Echo is just not quite ideal.
Yeah, I think so far the story of this game is Firestarter's pressure onto Golf. He's managed to destroy the command unit in Golf, and so the blue side do have this +1 lead, which has currently accrued them 95 points compared to the opponent's 30. So they are racking up quite a big lead, and pretty much all they need to do is get more infantry into the left side of Golf, and then they'll be able to just defend that and win the game off that. And so far that seems to be what they're trying to do. These Jaegers just below Golf are holding up a lot of this infantry. Look, even those Spetsnaz going down to the Jaegers there, it's not often you see that.
Don't mess with the Jaegers, but there are some Granatomets coming in, so I think those Jaegers will eventually get taken out, so they'll have to bring in a decent amount of reserve infantry to come and, well, infantry in reserve should I say, to come and deal with this big attack.
I love the use of these HE rockets, the MLRS there, the M270 LRMs with the HE rockets artillery. It's just so good. It's done so much damage to those Moskaya Pehota squads, especially considering they're supposed to be 15-man squads and they're now down to like 1-man, 3-man and 7-man. So those Panzer Grenadiers can probably now move in and finish those off.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see. Those Panzergrens are panicked, so they're not quite as effective, but then again the Moskaya have just been shelled, so they are too.
Yeah, it's a pretty fair matchup in terms of that, but we do have reinforcements coming in for Firestarter in these VABs, and depending on what those have in them, it looks like Rima 85s. Yeah, that's gonna basically be able to push out this forest, I would assume. Even with these Spetsnaz arriving as reinforcements for the red side, I still think the Rima will have a good chance at taking those out.
Well, especially with that VAB support as well, because the Spetsnaz only have so many rockets, and the more they waste on those VABs, the easier the job is for the Rima. There's a lot of infantry being brought into Echo, so I think Dirty D needs to make some use of that, because having them all just in the towns isn't really the most effective use.
Well, it looks like the blue side finally bombed out the Spetsnaz GRU that were in Delta, but the SU-24M did get a spot onto the P4 PC in Delta, and that bombing strike is directly on top of the CV there. And they've lost control of Delta, which means they have no air force for the time being.
Well, that's quite a big hit. They're going to have to wait for a CV to come from Foxtrot. It's kind of funny as well, the amount of defence they have in the Delta sector with all these Hajanashiki and the Duke Yonsa. Still didn't save the P4 command, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's because of the SU-24 just doesn't care about any of those ground forces, just flies right over them, drops those bombs and takes out his target. But look at Echo, blimey, how many infantry squads as Dirty D want to defend that. That is not going to be very easy to take out, and I definitely think their strategy in this game is just to hold on to Gulf right now and win it that way. That's why Dirty D is being so defensive in this Echo sector.
Well, I can guarantee that, you know, it'll take probably a minor miracle to dislodge that much infantry, but you can argue some of it's being wasted. They could be swinging some of it round onto these this big red infantry push. But honestly, I think they'll be happy as long as they control Echo, or Gulf, should I say.
Well, I think what they're just waiting for is this attack to hit them. So they've just lined up all these Fusilier 90 squads in order to intercept all those units. And the majority of those units aren't exactly very expensive. We got the Zalos Nisi in there with the SPW50PKs and some Mochutsen squads. So yeah, they're not going to be too much of an issue for the Fusiliers.
That's true. They do have to watch out though, because even though the red team, I think it's very unlikely they'll have enough infantry to actually capture Echo, if they do push in enough with these infantry reinforcements down the road from Alpha, they could put a counter-capping CV in and then gain a 1-point lead from that.
Dirty D's F-16 Fighting Falcon coming in again, dropping 2 1,000-kilogram bombs right on top of the Mochutsen there. Takes 30 Mochutsen down to 1. A wonderful strike there. I think they got a bit of friendly fire though, which was unfortunate. It's nice to see that Razman's taking advantage of the gaps in the top side to get some Haibyang into Hotel. He's supporting that well with the Crotal taking down the MGS-17 helicopter. And I think what's kind of happening in this game at the moment is the red side's forces are costing them too much compared to the blue side's forces, especially on this top side with Razman using this Blue Dragon deck. His units are just so much cheaper than Seraga's, and this is really giving him an advantage in that sector.
To an extent, yeah. Although Seraga, should be noted, he has brought in some ASU 85Ms for infantry support. I don't really like that. You know, when you can bring an SU 122, I think that's far more significantly better compared to the ASU. Just for I think 5 more points, is it?
Oh, look at this bombing strike coming in from Seraga. It's actually the second bombing strike into Echo, and both of them missed. Wow, Dirty D got away with that one. That Iltis Kedo should have died for sure, but didn't, and therefore they're going to hold on to Echo for now. And as you can see, this sort of defensive strategy I think is definitely paying off for Dirty D right now. Yeah, it's kind of leaving a gap for the counter cap for the red side if they'd chosen to, but at the moment they haven't, and therefore all of these infantry in a nice line are going to be able to hold off this push pretty nicely. Mirage 3C also coming in there to provide some napalm.
Well, if the infantry can't deal with them, I'm sure napalm is definitely going to stop them in their tracks, but it's placed, obviously, it seems like he's placed it to try and prevent reinforcements, but there is actually like a small gap where there's not much napalm down the road, so maybe not as effective as you'd like, but then again, there was nothing actually coming from the red side. They are bringing CV in.
These Cassiopeia is going to do a lot of damage to these infantry squads. The Zalos Nisi not going to stand a chance. The Zalos Nisi just being reserve infantry, and with those rifles, just, yeah, they won't do much damage to the helicopters at all.
And those Cassiopeias have great guns. They're definitely worth the 40 points they cost to bring in. 60% accuracy and 3 AP, definitely not anything to mess with.
So that CV you were mentioning, that Seraga's brought in, the KA-29TB, and they're probably going to try for the counter-cap maybe, but it looks like all the Zalos Nisi will die sooner than later, and there will be nowhere for that CV to go.
Yeah, that's quite unfortunate for the red team, because they did have a decent hold, but the Cassiopeia has just absolutely destroyed those reserve infantry, so he's going to have to send that back, unfortunately.
Yeah, Firestarter made a great choice in bringing those up. And he's also done a fantastic job in the middle. He did manage to get the infantry into the left side of Gulf, like I said he probably should. And that's going to give them a very good foothold in Gulf. and make it hard for the red side to countercap. Although I'm quite surprised that the red side hasn't tried to sneak in a command on the bottom side of Gulf where they have all that infantry, because they basically controlled that part of the forest for the entire game.
They do. Leclerc, I think, went down to this Conquer's squad in that spot where they could have put a CV, I think. So you could argue it's somewhat worth it, but I'd be quite concerned about if I start, because he has a Leopard 2A1 that's got no ammunition left that he's just left up at the front. So yeah, it looks like a VLRA coming up to try and help that.
If it gets hit though by the Moskaya, it won't be able to reload, because as long as it continues to be in combat, yeah, that won't be able to reload basically, and therefore the Moskaya will just get continuous free shots.
That's a bit of a shame. I'm going to have to pull the tank out of the left-hand forest.
So yeah, anyway, definitely I think a missed opportunity from Steel Balalaika to countercap Gulf there. They are making progress in actually pushing Firestarter back out of this left side forest in Gulf, and this MiG-29S could do a serious amount of damage here. Okay, not quite direct enough to kill off the Leopard 2A1, but that missile from the Conquer's M did take out the Crotal. Or was that the BMP-3, sorry?
You say that, the BMP-3 I think it was, but they've really dropped the ball a bit in pressure, because look at the top side. Razman has just had a very nice set of small pushes, because I mean they have been focused on other parts of the map and the red team as well, but it looks like he's whittled down the red side forces, and Serega just hasn't brought reinforcements because he's been worried about other parts of the map.
Well, has Serega actually been reinforcing elsewhere? I think honestly what's happened is what I was saying earlier, is how Serega's forces cost more than Razman's, and slowly Razman has managed to whittle down Serega's forces, and he hasn't been able to reinforce every part of Hotel, and slowly these like Haibyang have been sneaking into multiple parts of the sector.
I think he might be right actually. I thought he'd sent units down to the bottom, but I can't find any that he had. Although it's under his control, so.
Well, he's just got the two Mi-24Vs in Alpha that he started with, and the Ka-29TB CV that he tried to just countercap Echo with. But other than that, yeah, I think all of his forces have been used in the top, so he's just pretty much been destroyed up there.
Well, he just lost a Ka-52 to a Pinsam closed arrow without any kind of reprisal, so maybe so. It looks like Razman's going to try and put that armoured tank CV in there and get an even bigger point lead.
Yeah, if they manage to contest Hotel, that's going to be huge. But this Su-24M is coming along to bomb this infantry, and that's going to be nowhere near the CV for now. So it looks like this countercap will come in and take hold.
He's definitely done a good job then. We haven't paid quite as much attention to the top side because there's been so much action on the bottom, but it looks like he's done an excellent job to facilitate this push in.
I just love the way how the entire map is constantly active in this game. We've seen basically action constantly throughout the entire length of the map, with Firestarter pushing in the center, with Oceans trying to push back, Reflex actually doing a great job of pincering Echo as much as he can with the infantry he's got. But what I'm sort of seeing happen at this point is the quality of his infantry is terrible at the moment for Reflex. These Zelaznici squads just really aren't very good in comparison to the Jaegers and Fuchs that Firestarter is bringing in.
Yeah, I mean, reserve infantry definitely has its place. Like, we've seen all the people who bring the Yukwide squads, but it's just in a straight up fight in a forest, they're never that useful. Because even if you have a 60 squad of Yukwide, because I'll say that because that's the one we usually see, they have no light machine gun, which makes them extremely weak compared to the other regular infantry squads. Like those Fusilier 90 just absolutely ripped through one of the reserve infantry squads.
Yeah, the Panzerov Nisi there also being destroyed by those Fusilier 90s, like you pointed out. But up in the top side with Razman, it doesn't look like that counter cap lasted very long at all. And now we see Golf being contested. Ocean's finally moving the command into their safe haven at the bottom side of Golf. So that's going to be definitely hard for Firestarter to dislodge, as he doesn't really have much of a chance of pushing them out of that part of the forest.
Not just that, but he doesn't even know that it's actually there, because for all he knows, it's in this top side as well. So it definitely is a lot easier to protect yourself from bombing strikes when you can hide your CV in a number of places rather than just one, like this top forest, for example.
Yeah, look at Hotel, this MiG-29S coming in with 500 kilogram bombs right on top of the Haibyung, although that didn't seem to do as much damage as I thought it would to the Haibyung squads.
Maybe not, but I think what the bombs won't do, the Spetsnaz will do.
Yeah, the Spetsnaz definitely going to do a lot of damage with their napalm rockets, and I don't think the Haibyung will last very long unless the KAF-4050s can get there to provide the grenade launcher fire support. Oh, the Patchy Naneshiki did manage to get through the hotel sector and find the CV. So that's going to put the blue side on a +2 lead now, and I don't think the red side have a CV anywhere nearby to cap that again anytime soon.
Now a MiG-27 goes down, and just there to have like almost a salute as the Firestar's command infantry come over to Hotel.
Yeah, that was quite lucky that the MiG-27 didn't actually crash into Firestarter's infantry, because it was very close.
It's happened too many times to I'm pretty sure everyone's had that experience in their Wargame lives.
Well, I don't think I've ever seen an aircraft crash into my command infantry. That would be extremely unlucky, but it's definitely taken out some important stuff before. It looks like Serica tried to sneak his command infantry into Echo to countercap that for a while, but that didn't last very long, as Dirty D's AMX-10 RCs came in and just wiped that off the face of the earth. So, yeah, at the moment, now a +4 lead for the blue side, as they now control Echo completely and have now captured Hotel, so it goes up to +6. And this is getting out of hand now. This KA-29TB from Seriga, it looks like he's been designated as the CV man in this one, but he's going to be trying to capture back Hotel sooner than later. Otherwise, yeah, like I say, it's not going to end well at all.
Well, not just that, but the blue team managed to bomb the CV in Alpha with what I think was a random bombing strike, but it could have been one that was...
It looks like it was the MLRS.
Actually, yeah, it could well be. They did have a Hachinanishiki that snuck around quite well, but I think that did definitely got taken out because it's no longer there. But the blue team is just they're winning all over the map. They've done a great job in the top side. Firestarter has pretty much controlled Golf. I mean, even though it's technically neutralized, he definitely has the advantage in Golf right now. And Dirty D has just had an absolutely fantastic defense in Echo. Has just been uncapturable for the red team, no matter how much they've thrown at it.
Yeah, I think mainly this game comes down to quality over quantity. We saw like the red side try and go for all that reserve infantry, and because they aren't like Zalaznici with the 15-man squads, they do get picked off very easily by this like similar sized squads which are better quality, and that's definitely what's happened on this bot side, as we now see like straggling infantry from Reflex. He's kind of ran out of units down here. These Panzer Grenadiers definitely outclassing his reserve infantry, and the Moat shoots in there. Up in the top side we saw Razman's infantry. He's got all these Haibyung, which are actually very good quality infantry for their price. He's got they're 30 points, and they come with a decent CQC machine gun and really good accuracy with shock training. And so those are very effective as well in large numbers against things like the Spetsnaz and the VDV. So he's just been constantly pushing them against the VDV squads there and slowly making his way towards Hotel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Haibyung 90, I think, are one of the best value for money infantry squads in the game. 15 men, and they have the rocket of a a Panzergrenadier 90 squad, the PZF-3, which is absolutely incredible. It's basically the NATO equivalent of the VDV-90's Vampire rocket launcher, and you know, just having 5 more men than the VDV for a very similar price is a devastating unit.
Yeah, they're just great all round, and they are very similar to the Moskaya Pehota. I think is probably the most similar unit on the red side. So now we got the AH-1Js coming in. They're trying to pick off some infantry, but that's not going to last very long, as the game does end after 31 minutes and 39 seconds with Crna Buksna coming out as the victors.
What a fantastic game by Firestarter. His KD is 2-1. It's almost impeccable.
Yeah, that's very, very good for a game that lasted 31 minutes. The 2-1 KD just shows how much of an impact he had in the center sector there. I think he is the main reason actually why they won this game, because he was providing the +1 conquest lead throughout the game, and then once he'd provided enough pressure in the center, Serega had to help Oceans down there, and that left open the top sector where Razman took complete advantage and managed to secure the game for his team.
Yeah, just brilliant play by Firestarter. He was really on the ball as well when it came to helping his teammates out. So when Dirty D was being pressured in the bottom side, Firestarter was dead on it. I think he already had infantry coming down to that sector, to like the Echo area, in between Echo and Golf. Like he'd already realised, I think, what was going to happen, and you know, he just had a great combination of infantry, and did an absolutely brilliant job holding off that mammoth push the red team was trying in the forest just above Echo.
Yeah, and also those Cassiopeias coming in at the right time. And I really liked actually how Dirty D played his sector, with putting a lot of emphasis on the defense and spamming out a lot of those Jaegers and infantry squads into his sector in order to defend that from the huge push that came in from Reflex. But again, on the same side of things, Reflex did an amazing job of microing all those different units that he had, because he completely pincered at the start of the game, and that was just wonderful to see.
It was definitely one of the better, I think, examples of micro in this tournament we've seen. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get him the win. I feel he may have lacked a bit of strength in his composition of units he sent, but still an impressive display nonetheless.
Yeah. So, anything else you'd like to say?
Not really. Just a very good game from 2 very good teams who, you know, even though the red team lost, I still think they deserve some praise for that, because it was a good attempt and a good effort. The blue team, and Firestar in particular, just proved to be the better team today.
Yeah, I think we covered most of it while we were in the game, so we're going to leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.
Bye.